Okay, the last piece of the Surd puzzle is rationalising denominators, and that I'll do some tough ones. Rationalise denominators, okay, short for denominators. Great, let's have a look at it. Now, before I start, I just want to remind you about something. Do you remember what a plus b times a minus b is equal to? Well, what it's equal to is a squared minus b squared. Okay, this is an algebraic property. You may not have learnt it yet, but this is called the difference of perfect squares, DOPS. So you've got something squared minus something squared is equal to this. And what happens is when we multiply these two together is that you don't get any AB terms or anything like that in it. They disappear. If you expand this, you get a times a, which is a squared. A times negative b is negative ab. B times a, which is plus ab, and then minus b squared. What happens is that negative, they cancel out, and what you're left is squared and squared. And this property really helps us for when we're trying to get rid of a particular type of surd. And so what we call these are conjugates. Okay, and so the conjugate of root a plus root b, the conjugate is root a minus root b. Okay, it's sort of the opposite. A plus b, conjugate of a plus b is a minus b. The conjugate of a minus b is a plus b. So I'll just write that down. Very similar here. The conjugate of root a minus root b is root a plus. So all it does is the sign changes between the a and the b. That's all the difference is with a conjugate. Let's just have a look at what is happening here. Let's just try this out. So let's say you have root 2 plus, let's keep it simple, root 3. If I want to get rid of these surds here, what I could do, and this is going to be changing the value, so you're going to have to forgive me, but I'm going to multiply it by its conjugate. Let's see what happens if we multiply this by its conjugate. What's the conjugate of root 2 plus root 3? Conjugate is root 2 minus root 3. Cool. Let's see what happens when we multiply this out together. So using FOIL, what's root 2 times root 2? That's 2. Can you see how that's got rid of the surd? What's root 2 times negative root 3? Well, that's negative root 6. That's that times that. What's root 3 times positive root 2? That's positive root 6. And lastly, what's positive root 3 times negative root 3? That's negative 3. Negative 6 cancels, positive 6. And so we're left with 2 minus 3, and that's just equal to negative 1. Can you see how, by multiplying by the conjugate, we end up with a rational number? Okay? Rational. So it's not a surd anymore. And this is really important, and it's a good little skill to have. So if you've got a binomial, there's something plus something or something minus something, you can multiply it by its conjugate and end up with something good. Why do we care? Let's have a look at an example. 2 over root 2 plus, let's just do the same one so we're nice and comfortable here. Okay, something like this. How do we rationalise this? We hate having these surds on the bottom line. We want to rationalise, in other words, we want to get rid of the surds on the bottom line. What we can do, we know that if we multiply, I'll just put brackets around it, it'll be nice and comfortable. If we multiply anything by its conjugate, we'll get rid of the surds. So let's multiply that by its conjugate. But remember, we can't do that because we've changed the value here. So how do we stop that from happening? We just write the identical thing on the top line, and that means that this whole thing here is just equal to 1. So we just multiplied by 1, we haven't changed the value. So let's do it. Let's multiply it out. What's 2 times this? So remember, if you've got a number multiplied by something, we're just expanding out the brackets. What's 2 times root 2? 2 root 2. What's 2 times negative root 3? Negative 2 root 3. Okay, so that's the top line. What's the bottom line equal to? Now, just remember, I'll do this the slow way first, and you'll start to pick up what the trick is here. because you know that the middle two terms are going to cancel out, and you're just going to end up with this squared minus this squared, okay? And so you can see that it's going to be 2 minus 3, so it'll be negative 1 on the bottom line. But I'll just do it the slow way. What's root 2 times root 2? It's 2. What's root 2 times negative root 3? It's negative 2, negative root 6. What's positive root 3 times root 2 is root 6. And what's root 3 times negative root 3 is just negative 3. So what do we get? We get 2 root 2 minus 2 root 3 over, that cancels, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Okay. If we wanted to clean that up, we don't like this negative 1 on the bottom line, so just everything gets a negative, so that would be negative 2 root 2. That'll change sign to plus 2 root 3, and that's as good as an answer as any. So the negative just goes, we divide both of these things by negative 1. So there's our first example. So what you can see here is you get this squared minus this squared, 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. Very quick way of doing it. Let's just do one more example before I just let you go nuts on surds. Let's just say root 7 plus 2 root 2 over root 5 minus root 3. I'm just making these up, just whatever's. Okay, so what do? We need to multiply this bottom line by its conjugate. How do we get rid of this? Let's multiply it by its conjugate. What's the conjugate of that? It's root 5 plus root 3. Awesome. And on the top line we want to do the same because we don't want to change the value of this fraction. I find putting brackets around just helps my brain work a bit better. You might not need to. Let's have a look at this. Top line. Remember, we're multiplying brackets, so it's just like algebra, and we use FOIL. So we multiply those together. What's root 7 times root 5? It's root 35. What's root 7 times root 3? That's root 21. What's 2 root 2 times root 5? That's 2 root 10. So you've got 2 out the front, 1 out there. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. And lastly, what's 2 root 2 times root 3? Well, we've got our 2 out the front. And what's 2 times 3? 6. And so that's our top line there. Fantastic. Looks complicated. It is. But at least we won't have surds on the bottom. Now I'm going to take the shortcut this time. Looking at this, we know it's going to be this squared minus this squared. So what's that going to be? What's root 5 squared? It's just 5 minus, and what's root 3 squared? Is 3. And so that's just going to be 2. And so it's all of that over 2, and that is my answer. I'll leave it like that. You could simplify it a little bit, but no really need to. Yep, that's your answer. So get good at doing this. It's a hard skill. People find it quite complicated. But surds are fun, not. They get really simple once you get used to them. So enjoy.